of Monday, December 19th, 2022. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, are you taking roll, Mike?
Yes.
Or is this Janice?
Thank you very much.
Okay, taking attendance. Ms. Walker,
Present.
Mr. Hurst, present. Mr. Franz,
Present.
Ms. Grabianowski,
Present.
Mr. Lake,
Present.
Ms. Madrick,
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Present.
All right, thank you. All members are present. In your packet was a set of minutes from the November 21, 2022 meeting. Is there any comments, additions, deletions to those minutes? If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. All right, the minutes are approved. On the docket, 2022-43 PP, Stonegate Farms LLC, the Preserve at Fishback Creek, 7798 East 500 South Zionsville. Petition for approval of the primary plat for 8 single-family residential lots on the 39 plus or minus acres in Block A on 24 plus or minus acres in the rural R1 and rural R2 residential zoning district. They have requested withdrawal of this matter. This is just something we make a motion to accept.
Just for your
Okay,
acknowledgement.
so we have to, all
Yeah,
right,
you have
so,
to take any action.
all right. Next on the docket is 2022-50 RP. Replat of lot J8 and clubhouse lot in Holiday Farms, 3983 Club Ridge Estates, Zionsville. Petition for the approval of replat to relocate the existing property line between the clubhouse lot and lot J8, incorporating a portion of the unplatted lot with lot J8 being in the planned unit development district, Holiday Farms PUD. Is petitioner present? He's not online, or he is? Nope. All right. There's a continuance request in your packet. Janice, do you have any comments on this one?
Honestly, he had submitted the continuance letter in plenty of time, so it was added that he was going to attend. This is a simple continuance request.
All right. Is there any questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to continue this to the January 17th meeting, I believe? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Any
All in favor?
discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. All right, motion, this matter is continued next month. Next on the docket is 2022-56 DP Stacked Storage LLC, Project WIT, 7283 South, 650 East, Whitestown, Indiana. Petition for development of a plan approval of a 139,192 square foot 3-story self-storage facility on a 3.28 plus minus acres in the rural light industrial I1 zoning district. Petitioner is present.
Thanks, Mr. President. For the record, Mike Andreoli, 1393 West Oak Street. If I may be permitted, Mr. President, can I revisit the withdrawal letter on Stonegate? I didn't know if that was just accepted or you had to take a motion. I was unclear about that. And the reason I raise that, just for your records, is that we had initiated a public hearing on this first. So I would have thought that it would be necessary, since we'd already started a public hearing. Don't want to speak against my own interests,
Okay.
but just procedurally, I want to make sure that I brought that to your attention. Not trying to sneak something through the door. We'd already had a public hearing and commenced that. That's why I made that request formally and felt like I had to
Okay.
appear in case you had any questions about it. So
All right, I don't think there's any questions. I appreciate the input. So at this point in time, we'll go back to that petition. Is there a motion to accept the withdrawal of docket number 2022-43 PP? So moved. For a second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. The petition is officially withdrawn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we talk on this next docket, 2022-56DP, you made notice via first-class mail, correct?
Yes,
So is
Yes,
there a
we did.
motion to accept first-class mail's proper notice?
I move we accept first class mail as proper notice.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye. Opposed by nay? All right. You may proceed.
So thank you. For the record, I represent the stack storage entities, and they are seeking to obtain the development plan approval to put a multi-story, self-contained storage facility out there, essentially off that road that is not in particularly good shape, but it's a road that is right next to Little League off of old 52 Indianapolis Road, across from the one of the housing subdivisions out there. It's not a very large parcel of ground. The southern half will be essentially taken up by the retention that we have with regard to that. With me tonight is Brian Sheward. I don't know how much you want me to talk tonight. I know staff has recommended a continuance of this. We understand and believe that that's probably a good idea as we move forward, given the fact that we've talked to staff about potentially some proposed changes to try to accommodate this. There's been an opinion letter issued by your council. We disagree with that opinion letter and respectfully do not think it's well taken. Notwithstanding all of that, we're going to move forward to see if we can try to do some things to avoid the variance requests and come in perhaps with some development plan waivers at a minimum, but no variance requests by eliminating the outdoor advertising sign and some other things to see if we can avoid those kinds of things as an accommodation and work with staff on some of the design features and this, that, and the other. And staff has indicated willingness to do that. So I'm just going to be very brief so that the public hearing can be open, knowing that we're going to be presenting a little bit more detail to you at the January meeting. Essentially, it's 1,000+ units. It's 3 stories. People can drive into the building. There'll be an elevator into the building itself. We've worked with the fire department as far as the water issues and the standpipes and a number of other things that they'll have in the building that will be required. As I said, it will be climate controlled. And the nice thing about driving in the building and having doors that they can do that is they'll be able to unload whatever they're going to be storing there inside the building. They won't have to worry about inclement weather and those types of things. You've had an opportunity to look at the design of the building. Any comments that you might have on that would be appreciated so that we could pass those along. And in addition to that, the Whitestown's providing the water and sewer for this facility. And Mr. Stewart has been very active in meeting with them in that regard. They're also going to require us to redo the entire road up to the eastern terminus of our property. That we're not going to go all the way to the back where there's that one single family house back there, but we're gonna have to redo the entire road, not just repave it, but rebuild it. It's an old chip and seal road. Whitestown's concerned that it will not handle that kind of traffic. And so we have committed and will commit tonight to go ahead and rebuild that road to the standards that Whitestown is requesting, all the way back to our eastern terminus of our property line. Essentially, that's it in a nutshell. It's got an industrial zoning classification that we believe allows this particular facility to be located there. And there will be no outside storage. The dumpsters that we will have out there has been designed as so to meet your quality and standards with regard to how that will be visible or not visible, as the case may be in this situation, for those that will be looking at it. One of the questions that has arisen, although we don't necessarily agree that it would be an issue, we respectfully agree that we're going to make it an issue and try to see what we can do with regard to our eastern elevation of the building to try to see if we could make that look more like an entrance than it does the side of the building. And so the client is willing to work with staff. Staff is indicating a willingness to work with us in that regard. So I think that's it in a nutshell tonight. There'll be a lot more, I think, and a lot more detail that we'll have to present at the January meeting. And that will include, as you'll see in the site plan, a formal withdrawal of the outdoor advertising sign and some other adjustments that we're going to make to the site to see if we can avoid the variances. Be happy to answer any questions. Any members of the public have any questions? It looks like just a rousing turnout tonight. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, since the hearing has been opened, is there anybody in the public who would like to comment on this matter? Online? Does not appear to be. All right, so at this point, is there any questions, comments, or petitioner on this matter before we entertain the continuance?
Do you have any wetlands on the site?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any wetlands on the site?
We don't think so. I don't think we've taken a look at that. There's not at all that retention. I know Brian has worked with Kenny Hedge up at the county with regard to some of that. He really doesn't have as much jurisdiction over this as we would normally see. It's generally within staff here in Zionsville and any comments that Whitestown may have, which we're dealing with. So we're really dealing with multiple jurisdictions here, given the road situation where it's located and who's providing utilities and the request for the road improvements.
Anything else?
Couple questions. One, the billboard location, if I'm seeing this correctly, it's the northeast corner thereabouts of the property. Is that going, what's shown is kind of a round. So is it a pole mounted sign of some form, or?
I guess I didn't make myself very clear. We're going to be withdrawing that the outdoor advertising, the billboard request, Mr. Jones.
Sorry.
And it's a fair question because it was part of our application, but given the letters that have gone back and forth with regard to some of the legal issues, I think my client has decided that he's going to withdraw that billboard application. If Mr. Taylor is correct, that would require use variance. I don't think my client's really interested in going down that route or try to deal with a use variance for the billboard at that site at this point. So he's just, we're going to go ahead and formally withdraw that. We want to wait until we get a little farther to have a formal withdrawal request, but your next site plan and undoubtedly will show no outdoor advertising sign or billboard.
Okay. So will you add signage on the building then?
Pardon?
Add signage on the building on the east elevation?
Good evening, Brian Sheward with Kimley Horn and Associates, civil engineer on the project. Offices at 250 East 96th Street, Suite 580, Indianapolis, Indiana. I'd actually reached out to Roger earlier today because we'd like to schedule a call to go through the elements and it was very nice of you guys to point out the items within the I-65 overlay that we are in compliant already and certain items that we are, I think, not in compliance with. And I had asked if we could have a call so we could walk through those. Are, in my opinion, a bit subjective on the things that we could do to help, I guess, bring the project into compliance with those. So I think signage certainly can be one of the things we talk about. The elevations that were submitted do show signage on the building, which would be the west facade at the south side where the two drive-in doors are currently located. We had also shown a ground mounted sign at the southern entrance to 650. If any of that is not in compliance with the overlay, we'll get that figured out, I would say, in the coming weeks, and that'll be a part of what we come back next month.
second item for me is while we can see where the first, second, third and roof elevations are, there's no detail really given to what the overall height of the building is.
Believe it mentions it in the overall site plan that at the top of the parapet is 37 feet, I believe. But that was the architectural elevations that were resubmitted as part of the response to TAC comments. They show the roof at 32 feet. I'm looking at it now. I can plug it in, but that's another item that we need to talk with staff about to ensure that the rooftop units are fully screened, because I think that's one of the overlay district items.
So in other words, the visibility of the rooftop equipment there's the ability to correct that issue.
Correct. As far as we understand at this point, yes.
Anything else?
What is so once again, when it comes to our ability to override some of the 65 overlay issues. So this is all in our jurisdiction to make these changes.
That was gonna be my question.
Sorry, you want to ask your question then?
No,
Ask your
I know it
question.
was the same thing. It's just the Boone County ordinance.
Yeah.
And I get that it applies to our site, but then do we also have the ability to waive those requirements?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'll pass down when the reorganization occurred. The idea was in the conversations was that the zoning in the rural area would remain the same. And so if you look at this ordinance, paragraph 5, it not only says that when it talks about the zoning ordinance, but it said that the General Town Code of Ordinances of Zionsville, last amended January 2009, is hereby amended by approval and adoption of the Boone County ordinances in effect as of the date hereof, which was 2010, which apply to the rural area upon the effective date of the reorganization. And so these ordinances all swept through and became part of our ordinances. So waivers, as you know, those can only be waived if there's a provision that says it can be waived. And currently there is no such language on the I-65.
At the very end of the I-65 overlay ordinance, under paragraph T, it does itemize which certain items can be waived by.
Which one? Yeah.
But it's very, very specific and isolated as to what can be waived and what cannot.
So it's a little strange because it's like an addendum to your ordinance. And so you have to look at the waiver provisions of that particular ordinance. But somebody else knows.
But we still have the ability to waive them if this document says we can.
Yeah.
Only
you
the
can waive-
specific item.
Yeah, you can always waive what is allowed to be waived.
Gotcha. It
Yes.
just doesn't have to go back to Boone County, was what I was.
Boone County has nothing to do with
Okay.
it. We adopted it as our own in 2010.
Okay.
I wasn't here then, but that's what happened.
So what are the items in subsection T?
T as in Tom. They are primarily architectural items such as exterior building materials and some aspects of the exterior design itself.
So are the items that they are asking to change, are those within our jurisdiction to waive?
Some of the items, yes. The other items that are not is what they're going to look to see how can they redesign it so that it does comply.
So can we get some clarity on what is and isn't going to get redesigned?
And that's what we'd appreciate a chance to talk with staff about that we haven't yet.
You're gonna chat with staff first.
All right. And where I'm going is looking at the constraints of the site. You know, putting a entrance on the east side is, or something that looks like an entrance isn't particularly.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
If you'll see the architecture, there's glazing, and I mean, the east face of the building has architectural features to begin with and 2 drive-in doors. Quite honestly, if it's a facade treatment that makes it look like an entrance, that was going to be a conversation we were going to have. It's a little tongue in cheek, but the logical entry is the southwest corner where the drive-in is. So it's I'm glad that we're having this conversation now. It's just a matter of how do we work together to make that make sense, I think.
Is there anything else? Is there a motion to continue this to the January 17th meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second
Second.
discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. See you next month. Thank you very much. Next item on the docket is under other matters, PC rules readoption memo. Planning Commission rules of procedure with 2021 approved amendments for readoption. Janice, are you handling this?
Yeah, I'll take that. So staff has provided to the Plan Commission member the memorandum, basically outlining the history of the request. What's before you tonight is very simply amendments that were approved in 2021 that need to be incorporated into the rules of procedure. You've already approved those. Those are highlighted in red. Just to draw your attention to it, we simply need to incorporate that into the readoption of the rules that you've already approved. Also, our second request is the original rules of procedure that you saw just very shortly ago were formatted by American Legal. We'd really prefer to go back to the original formatting simply because of ease of working the document. The American Legal is very nice and very clean. However, the word format that we originally received is much easier to work with. We can incorporate those amendments into that document much easier. And so that's what we're looking for is your approval to readopt and incorporate those amendments.
All right. Is there any other questions, comments on this? If not, is there what is the motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Motion carried 7-0. Last item on the docket is notification of 2023 BZA and Plan Commission meeting regarding updates and information by council on January 17, 2023. Dan, are you handling that or Janice?
Simply a reminder of the Plan Commission that we are going to have a meeting prior to the January 17th meeting. It'll be upstairs at 6 o'clock. Simply training for Plan Commission, for BZA members, an opportunity to receive information and ask questions if you decide.
All right. Anybody have any questions on that one? Any other new business, comments, concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Yeah, hang on, discussion. Sorry.
I think that's the 6 o'clock start time you're referring to, right? On the-
No, they're two separate.
Oh, okay, I thought,
Actually, they're two separate
I
issues. So-
thought that was the discussion, the 6 o'clock start time, but go ahead.
Nope, we have another topic for you, and that is consideration of what your start time for your meetings will be in 2023. It's been brought up that the BZA does meet at 6:30, Plan Commission meets at 7. Simply looking for consideration if you would want to move your meeting time up to 6:30. Looking for discussion and input.
Yes.
I
I
like
personally
that.
don't care.
I like that
So-
idea because then I get home in time to go to bed.
Only on certain nights, does it never go that long.
I know, but it kills me. It just kills me.
It just kills.
All right, so would it take a motion to move it to 6:30 or, okay, so sounds like there's general agreement on 6:30. So is there a motion to change the start time from 7 PM to 6:30 PM?
I'll have to reset my watch.
Set it on BZA time.
So there was a
So
first. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Right.
What does that do to the 6 o'clock meeting in January?
That's still at 6 o'clock.
That's still gonna have to stay the same. It's gonna have.
So
to
it'd
be
just be a
7 o'clock
30-minute meeting.
So we'll have a 7 o'clock meeting on Monday. So the resolution would be, with the exception of the Monday,
Tuesday.
That's
my
okay.
other Tuesday.
with the exception of the January meeting, we still remain at 7. Do you accept that amendment?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So any discussion? All right, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. All right, we'll move it to 6:30 except Monday or January.
Well, the training, the regular meetings and stuff.
Is there any other questions, comments?
February,
Well,
6:30.
there was some confusion in the proposal that we continue. Is there, what work will be done to not put future petitioners in a position of learning things on the fly, so like we maybe did here?
Are you asking in this particular?
No, I mean, the next time somebody's jumping into the Zionsville portion of the I-65 overlay. Or in reading that document, it seemed that the town of Zionsville discovered this requirement in dealing with their petition. So I guess what can the town do? What can the planning commission do? What needs to be done to not put other petitioners in this same position?
Yes, that's an excellent question, Mr. Hurst, and I'll start, but I'll let council finish. Because truly the answer lies in the council that your plan commission attorney has given you. And that is that the I-65 overlay does exist. It did exist. And therefore Zionsville does need to adhere to it. It's an unfortunate circumstance that wasn't included in 2010. However, these things happen. It's unique, it's special, and I don't expect that it's going to happen in the future. It's a rarity, an extreme rarity. And with that, I'll just turn to Dan for a little bit of reinforcement.
Yeah, again, I don't have the final answer, but I've discussed with staff a little bit, and I think that the easiest way to handle is just to put a notation in to any applications that you be aware that you need to comply with this ordinance. In addition, and I take, when someone files any petition, they have to follow all of our ordinances, not just our zoning ordinance, our stormwater ordinance, our protection ordinance. And they're kind of on notice. You have to apply with all of our ordinances. The problem here is that this would be difficult to find. And probably in 2010, it was administered in a way that people were aware of that. But then over time, it just got lost somewhere. It's not in the zoning ordinance it should have been. The 421 overlay is in there. None of us were around then, but it probably should have been there. So what we've talked about is putting a notice on our website and notice to people that, hey, if you're within the I-65 overlay zone, be prepared to deal with this ordinance, because that kind of transparency would save some trouble for the development side.
So we have a new zoning ordinance that we're going to be proposing.
Yeah.
Is there not a way on the map to do a hatch overlay and call that area out? Because as an architect, we go to the zoning code. We read the zoning code. And if this is not specifically in the zoning code, we're going to submit something that we've spent months working on that we expect to be approved, hopefully in the course of a month,
Right.
only to find out that not all the documents that we have to comply with are actually in the zoning code.
Right. Well, the new ordinance gives you a golden opportunity to put it in there. But in the meantime, we still need to notify people as well as best we can.
Sure.
And so that's what the staff, I've had a conversation with the staff about how they might do that. And
When that seems fine in the interim,
In the
I just want to
interim.
make sure that we've got this chance now with the new zoning code to make sure that it's more apparent.
we discussed making sure that the consultant knew about this issue and could
Okay.
resolve it. Again, I can't explain exactly how it happened, but I think that, how is it? It kind of got lost, but I think that the staff is trying to fairly deal with this particular case and any future ones to make sure that we let them know. But yeah, the new ordinance gives us great opportunity to kind of resolve it in a more permanent way.
But Dan, the new zoning code will involve new zoning maps. So the old overlay would be completely erased, would it not, with the new zoning map?
Well, I don't know until I see, I don't know.
I mean, that's the current direction we're going in. And as I understood the I-65 language, that overlay was valid until such time a rezoning occurred for that location.
Until such time as a landowner requested a rezone.
Okay.
It's a specific language, so I've not seen your draft ordinance, so I don't
No,
know.
no, it doesn't speak to it at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
fair enough.
difficult for me to respond.
I am not asking if we know of something, but I guess I'm just hoping that town and council, if something in the ensuing years had been approved without consideration of the overlay, some thought might be given to how that gets handled or what might come forward in the future. I'm not asking.
We've been thinking about that.
Okay.
We approved a project that was along 65 further south between 71st and 86th Street. Do you remember that?
Longer than me.
No, I'm just, no, this is, do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you thinking of Auto Potenza? It was not that far south.
Okay.
That's not, that's Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, it was
yes,
just
right,
south
yeah.
of that.
It's,
Pardon me?
It was just south of that.
okay. Okay.
71st Street?
No,
I
of
was,
this-
I'm
of this
trying to, I
property.
was thinking of where it
Auto
was.
Potenza is just south of this property.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would that be subject to the I-65 overlay?
Technically, yes.
Let the record show, I did not ask that.
You know,
There you go, Dave.
sorry.
And get Dave a can of worms for Christmas.
We're gonna learn a lot next month of the training.
I'm gonna talk about vested rights. I am.
So we have that to look forward to. Is there anything else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? All in favor,
Second.
signify by aye. We're adjourned. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
It'll be changed. Yeah.